September 28 meeting, Intergovernmental Relations will now come to order. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Chairman Antelli.
Here.
Mr. Beebe. Here. Mr. Gumina. Here. Mr. Monroe. Here. Mrs. Valerio. Here.
Is there anyone present or signed up to speak to the committee?
No, sir.
Anyone like to address the committee? Next item on the agenda, approval of minutes. You have the August 31st, 2010 minutes before you. They will stand approved unless the clerk is notified of any changes by the end of the day. Next item on the agenda, Mr. Clerk.
Referral 10-277, acceptance of a grant.
Moved by Ms. Valerio, second by Mr. Gumina. Any discussion? Legislator Beebe.
Yeah, get new ones. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have a couple of questions I'd like to ask the administration. This is a very good program, obviously, lead prevention, and I noticed that there's quite a good increase this year, so looks like it'll be able to be a very good program for everybody. What have been the through the chair to the administration? What's been the achievements that have happened here in a few years that it's been in place, this grant?
Through the chair, it's very difficult to measure the accomplishments of any particular component of a big community-wide activity like this. But we are fortunate that we have very good data about the number of lead-poisoned children, and over the course of the last 9 years or so, we've seen the number of lead-poisoned children go from, I believe, about 1,300 in the community down to about 300. So it's a really remarkable change. What has happened in over that 10-year period is we've changed our strategy. Our strategy really used to be wait till we got lead-poisoned children and then go into their homes and try to remediate those homes. Obviously, the horse is out of the barn at that point. The strategy that we now use is the so-called primary prevention strategy, which is to try to get into the homes before children are lead poisoned and try to make the remediations happen then. That's where the term primary prevention comes from. And we're getting better and better at that as the community becomes more accepting of it.
All right, thank you. And I think you answered my second question, the number of served. It sounds like it's been quite a few through the years. And, you said 1,300, now it's down to 300.
That's correct.
Amount of children. Through the chair to the administration, is there a particular targeted population, or is it for you try to reach out to everybody in the county here?
Through you, Mr. Chair, the overall strategy has really been to focus on the census tracts and zip codes in the city of Rochester that have the oldest housing and also the housing that has the least value, because it usually means that it's not well maintained. And those are the properties in which it's most likely that peeling paint and lead dust will fall to the floor and children will get it in their mouths. Anyway, what I wanted to say about that is the sort of the centerpiece of the activity in this grant is to follow where the city of Rochester goes with its certificate of occupancy assessments in the residential rental properties in the community, and they have identified those high-risk areas, and those high-risk areas, that is the areas where we've seen the most lead poisoning in the past, is where they're doing the most intensive screening and outreach. So it's really mainly the city of Rochester and mainly the Crescent area.
All right, thank you for all that information and insight. I appreciate it. I have no further questions.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Carried.
Referral 10-282, acceptance of a...
Moved by Legislator Gumina, second by Legislator Valerio. Legislator Monroe.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a quick question. I'm wondering if there are other districts outside of the city that participate in a similar program to this, or the same.
Through the chair, Jason Kennedy with Environmental Services Engineering Group.
You can answer it if you want.
Through the chair, I apologize, I'm one referral ahead.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I went and spoke to the superintendents of all the schools in Monroe County about 2 years ago and invited them all to participate in this. There are six districts that are participating, and I hope I can find it quickly. The Rochester City School District is one, Spencerport, Churchville, Chili, Pittsford, East Arundecoit, and Webster. So we offered it to all of them, and those are the ones that took us up on it.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Legislator Valerio.
And what is the delivery of the vaccine? Is it an injection or is it the nasal?
Through you, Mr. Chair, we actually are making both available through the schools this year. It's been quite interesting. One would think that the nasal would be much more well accepted, but there seems to be some preference for the injection. I don't know, it comes out of some strange feeling that people have about getting a shot being more effective than getting some bubbly stuff in your nose. But both are available.
Thank you. And I apologize for not saying through you, Mr. Chair.
Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Carried. Our final item,
Referral 10-283, authorizing
moved by legislator Valerio, second by legislator Gamina. Any discussion? Legislator Monroe.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you, I'm assuming that this is a new build project, and I'm wondering how many units or parcels are involved in this project.
Through the chair, Jason Kennedy with Environmental Services. It is a new development in the town of Ogden. It'll encompass approximately 75 new services or new properties and 43 existing residential properties.
And through you again, Mr. Chair, given that the fact that this parcel is adjacent to the Gates-Chila-Ogden Pure Water District, why is it that the town in this case wants to retain ownership of this particular parcel?
Through the chair, this is the typical and historical means by which the district has expanded over the years, whereas the local township would be the local sewer sponsor, if you will, the sponsoring municipality, and then by way of the dedication and intermunicipal agreement, convey the operation maintenance of the facilities to the GCO sewer district.
One more question, Mr. Chair. Through you, I'm wondering about the long-term costs. I mean, obviously this being another new development in Monroe County, a county that's shrinking, it seems that, us having to continue to build infrastructure for new developments in our county seems to be adding to the overall tax burden, and I'm not commenting on the overall merit of this particular project, just in terms of long-term costs. I'm wondering what effect this is having on the taxpayers.
Through the chair, the private developer will bear all costs of the development and construct it, and certainly presumably attempt to recoup their costs for the infrastructure as part of the sale of the homes for the development, but the town and certainly the district are not investing any monies for this particular development.
If I may, Mr. Chair, follow up. I'm talking about kind of the long-term maintenance of the infrastructure rather than the, I'm assuming that you're referring to the building at the front end rather than the long-term costs.
Through the chair, that's correct. I was referring to the initial investment. As far as the long-term costs, they are recuperated by the district in the form of our district charge, which is comprised of both the capital component to defray the costs of infrastructure improvements the district undertakes, and then also an operation and maintenance component that's based on the cost per 1,000 gallons of water consumption that each homeowner utilizes in order that we maintain the system going forward.
So just one more, Mr. Chair. Through you, so user fees, is that essentially that's what I'm getting from that?
Through the chair, that's correct. When a homeowner connects to the sewer, then they pay a user charge, and it's comprised of the capital O&M component. So their O&M fees essentially will maintain the system in perpetuity.
Thank you.
Legislator Valerio.
Through you, Mr. Chair. What precluded the developer from initially establishing a sewer lines in the initial phases of the development? Because I know they're across the street. Is the college across the street?
Through the chair, I guess I don't know the answer to the question. I'm not familiar with the history behind this particular development, only that the developer has been interested in developing this particular parcel or group
Well,
of parcels.
it's rather developed already. That's why I was just, and it's not that old. That's why I was wondering. I'd be curious to know.
Sure.
Thank you.
Through the chair, for a point of clarification, the 43 existing residential properties are on septic systems. And of course, the new 75 homes that will be built are going to be supported by the new sewer.
So will those owners that have septic have the choice of converting to the sewer lines?
Through the chair, yes, they will.
Okay. Thank you.
Legislator Beebe.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The current residential properties, there's 43 here mentioned, they're on septic. Is there a grace period once the sewer project is completed? They have X number of days or a year to hook up? Or what would be the condition that would be set up for them?
Through the chair, I don't know offhand, but I will find out. Certainly, it's a function of the compliance of their septic system with Department of Health regulations and whatnot. But I don't know that there is a statute in terms of their the limit or the time in which they need to connect. But I'd certainly be happy to follow up with that information.
All right, thank you. And through the chair to administration, once the sewer project has completed and the sewer is all set to go to the residential properties, we'll find out what the time frame is for them to hook up. But will the cost be starting to show up into their bill immediately after the project's done, or until they hook up?
Through the chair, they won't be charged fees until they're an actual connected unit or an actual customer of the district.
All right, thank you. One more question through the chair to the administration. I'm familiar with a fee that was established in several municipalities with people that were hooked up to a septic system, then they got hooked up to the sewer through the municipality, and it's called a sewer enhancement fee. And this is actually to recoup some of the expenses of the sewer project itself. Is this going to be incorporated to these existing residential properties?
Through the chair, if I understand your question, I believe you might be referring to like a sewer charge or connection charge, and the GCO sewer district, as a county sewer district, does not have the legal authority to charge connection fees. So no, we will not be charging any kind of balloon payment, if you will, upon connection. We're not structured that way, nor can we be legally.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Are there any other matters to come before the committee? Therefore being no. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Beebe.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Last year, we approved the project, multi-agency green fueling project, stations project, that would design and construct 3 alternative fuel dispensing stations. I'm requesting at this time if we could get the administration to provide this committee with an update on this project by the next committee, and also to discuss how the hydrogen explosion at the airport has affected this project, if at all. And I'll make sure that we send it out in writing too as well. Thank you very much.
Anything else? Sir? Therefore being no further business, the September 28th, 2010 meeting of Intergovernmental Relations Committee stands adjourned. Next meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, October 26th.